On behalf of Excellency Khalifa Sleh, CEO of SIRA, I would like to thank ISIS and Security Middle East magazine for this event. According to the brief introduction of Freddie, is that I've been working for SIRA and this industry now for 12 years. I've passed a lot of challenges actually. And one of the things that I always tell my guys is that 1 year in SIRA, or used to call DPS, is equivalent of 5 years in actual life. So everybody has to take the advantage of that one because the experiences that we are getting there is a lot. I'm an engineer, I'm an electronics engineer. I'm a charter security professional, CSYP. And lately I was assigned as a head of the technical committee for Ayun project, which is an initiative by Dubai Police. Now it's an initiative of Dubai government. Dubai Digital Authority saw that this is much bigger than only a security initiative. So what I'm going to speak today is that everybody knows what a safe city is, but I'll have a brief introduction of about SIRA for the international participants. The main layers of safe city, challenges, how to achieve it, how we vision it to achieve a safe city. And lastly, SIRA harmonization. Security Industry Regulatory Agency, we are the agency established in 2016, but we were present from 1999 actually as Department of Protective System under Dubai Police. But the government saw us that we get separated and become an agency by ourselves to cope to the a lot of challenges that we faced as DPS. We are our main objective is to protect life and properties through innovative security measures. First of all, legislation of the security industry, which involves technical and man guarding, and sometimes other, like you say, responsibilities that the government give us. Excuse me. The first preventative manual was issued in 2005, the first version. The second version was 2008, but the third version was issued on 2016 and 2019. There's a big gap between 2008 and 2019. That because the time between analog and IP system were emerging, and we saw that we have to stop doing any changes until we have some kind of stabilization of the IP systems. And the region was going through up and downs during this time, 2008 and 2019, and a lot of events was happening. Of course, any regulation has to be based on risk and assessment, and based on that, we do the mitigation on it. But SIRA methodology is that we always depend on preventative security, soft preventative security, because that's the best proactive way of dealing with security. Safe city, a lot of definition there isn't about safe city, but the main 5 pillars of safe city is peace of mind, and then support of maintaining law and order situation, then deterring, detecting, and dealing, the 3 Ds, then act in aid of investigation and provide evidence for courts. That's safe city, but lately the safe city has changed. Changed to what? Changed that there isn't such a thing as safe city. Same as before, that IP systems combined with the IT systems. So there isn't a definition between security and IT systems. Now safe city with the smart cities are the same. They are becoming integrated, okay? Because information is information. Now what happens is that you have a lot of sensories around that sending information. Who determines that? Everybody is so protective about the information that they have, but they don't have any transparency. And the biggest weakness in any digitization is people themselves. their culture. So safe city is all about peace of mind. But how do you achieve a peace of mind using enough data that you are getting from all the sensors that are coming? All of you are professionals. You know that we have the application. There is different layers of security. There is application layer, which is proactive policing, which is a very important thing. Then general surveillance, traffic, smart transportation, video recognition, and identification. One more thing here is that in the application level is that safe city is not only about the application, about criminal and safe things. Now, my presentation, if next time I'm coming, I will not be talking about safe city. I'm going to talk about smart cities, because safe city is a part of a smart city. But the information that is coming out of security sensors, like we say, is very abundant to the smart city, and it's beneficial. So there must be some kind of policing of using that one. Then we have the sensors. Here the sensors are for a safe city is CCTV, ANPR, tracking device, and IoT, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, any IoT sensor that will help out. But here, one of the biggest issues with sensors is that this is the endpoint that you get the information from. So the information that you are getting from the sensor should be pure, as accurate as possible. And what we have seen is that a lot of manufacturers, they concentrate on their own product. They don't concentrate a lot about integration. They say they have integration, but when you actually go on a project, it's a different story. They start asking for variations. They start asking for different sensors, and they try to make it as a small system, just proprietary for them. Communication, fiber optic, LTE, 5G, microwave. These are very nice wording to say, but in actual foreground, the telecommunication companies they have the forehand in that one. Okay, so there is, in each city, there is fiber optics, but they are different layers and different things. And if you use the fiber optic, it's good, but you don't go to the endpoint. LTE is a good thing, 5G is a good thing based on that one, but analytics of a safe city is based on video. And we have to think video is very abundant to high bandwidth use and high GPU use. So that's one of the thoughts we have to put in our mind. Microwave, some people say this is an old school, we can use 5G. No, on an operational base, microwave sometimes is much better, because 5G is based on the data pool you're having, plus to the LTE. So the cost will go up. We know a lot of safe city projects that somehow got on a halt because of the operational cost of communication only. I'm not talking about licensing. I'm not talking about facial recognition licensing or other licensing. It's only about communication and how reliable are those communications. That costs a lot of projects to stop halt, and they are rethinking of their policies. LoRa is good, but it's bandwidth limitation, but it's good for an aggregation of sensors. Data. Of course, we have big data analysis, real-time, reactive, and forecasting. Real-time is the most expensive, then the reactive is the least, and the forecasting is basically people who are sitting and putting up profiles of the data coming in. It's like putting a bag of money in front of somebody, but that money is worthless because he doesn't know how to use it. That's what the forecasting is done. It's about people. We have seen a lot of AI modules that can forecast, but once the information entered in it is not that smart, same as a person, it goes down. Very simple. We've seen a lot of analytics coming in. We have an experience with the ANPR system. ANPR system is a normal camera that reads the number, that goes to an OCR, then it gets implemented. There is always a choice of what OCR to use, what standard you can put. But once you get installation on the site, you have other challenges coming in. So we started to get a lot of junk because the camera angle went down. The OCR couldn't read it, couldn't identify the plate. So there is a lot of junk was coming in. So what happened there is that we had to regulate a lot of things that I will mention later on. Regulating up to the detection or what the camera sees is very important, because whatever the camera or the senses is the most important thing here. It has to be regulated. It have to be, there must be policies, and it must be followed up. If you don't have any active follow-up of those sensories, what they are getting, your project, it's prone to failure. And it will go slowly to failure because you're going to get junk, and the end stakeholders who are using the system, which has security or even the private sector, we say, why I'm paying for something that I'm not getting any reliable? Human beings, when there's a study, they're saying that if you put an operator in front of a screen, he gets what's called a brain burn or freeze after 20 minutes. He cannot process whatever is on the screen, even if there's a crime in front of him. It's like a screen burn. Operation layer, alert notification, incident management system, active communication, like messaging, voice, data, terminals, public. The shift that we have seen is that everything is being converted to data. Okay, and all this messaging voice is being converted to data. There isn't any like a normal channel, voice channel going in and out. But as we know, it all depends on the security policies of the entity that is doing the safe city. As you know, there is a new threat coming up, just came up, which is the Ukrainian and Russian war. A lot of people say that we are far away, we are not affected. No, you are affected, because the Russians are bringing out the dirty papers out, as he announced 2 days back. But the biggest thing is that it's not a nuclear war. The biggest threat is that they're going to cut off the internet. They are threatening to cut off the internet. A lot of, a lot say that will not be relevant. No, it is relevant, because all of your IT systems are being centralized, updated, and you have to update it every once in a while. So how are you going to update it without internet, or without any VPN tunnel to have there, dedicated VPN tunnel? You're going to say Elon Musk has free internet in the sky. He cannot take all the world internet. So what is going to happen? Internet lines being cut off is the biggest threat there is. So how we are ready in our like you say, industry, which is security industry, which is related to IT. Everything is now IP addressable, and we have to have some updation on most of the systems, constant updation. So if you cannot communicate, you cannot update. If you cannot update, you're going to get junk. If you're going to get junk, the system is born to failure. So everything is related to each other. So what the challenges that we've seen? From my work now, I've been the head of the technical committee for Ayun. Ayun is a project. Ayun is a project for to collect all the information. Ayun initiative was a Dubai police initiative. Is that to connect all the cameras of city of Dubai to a centralized location. But when a policeman wants everything to be solved by the cameras, that's not possible, as we know. We all know that is impossible. There must be some human intervention. You cannot automate the crime prevention or crime detection, not yet. I think ISS will do it one day. Okay, so what the challenges that we are having? I put here infrastructure. We have government, public areas, private sector, remote areas. Each one of them have their own challenges, technical and cultural. let's go to government. A lot of government have the infrastructure set up, and the way that they work is that totally dependent, and that's a big issue here with Safe City, because Safe City is interconnecting and getting things done, people talking to each other, systems talking to each other. So when you have government bodies that they are not willing and they think they are the only people in the city, that's a big issue. Is that we have a lot of, since I'm in the force till now, I've been dealing with government departments, and I've been seeing people that they think that they are the most important department in Dubai. They think they are Dubai. Yeah, they have some kind of loyalty, but you are not Dubai. There's other government entities that they can benefit. There must be going forward and backwards. And thank God that this type of people, they don't last long in the government in Dubai. They just get transferred somewhere else. And my question to them is that, I just had a discussion with her. I said, which is more important, your old work or your new work? It's a mentality of a person. So that's one of the biggest things. Public areas, as you know, sensors at public areas will get you a lot of information, a lot of good information, supposedly, but you're going to get a lot of unwanted information. So filtering out those information is very important, and you have to have people working on it. You cannot take the people out of the equation, and still you cannot put a lot of people in the equation, because you must have some kind of policies for this data. Private sector. Sira, we are dealing with private sector for a long time. We know how to deal with them, we know how to regulate them, and we know how to put some requirements there. And we know that there is a lot of rumors go around, okay, by integrators, because they think of their benefit. We think of an overall benefit. So for the private sector, they have their own challenges. For a safe city or a smart city, private sector will benefit a lot. They benefit from a lot of data that is coming, which is security-related data. Facial recognition, ANPR, this is security-related data. But will the private sector benefit out of it? You have active, what we call the active advertisement. We can give that information to them without provoking anybody's privacy. For instance, ANPR information. You can give a mall information that the percentage of the certain nationality cars has increased. Facial recognition system. If you have a facial recognition system there, you can inform the mall that you have a certain nationality, certain age, people of disabilities are increasing in your mall. So be ready. This is some kind of forecasting that issues coming. We can see that in some malls they do it, but they have the money to do to build up the platform. But the other malls, they don't have that money, but they invested in cameras because the regulation wants that. So we can give them that either for a minimal fee or free of charge. The plan, the way the mindset thinking of this private sector would change. One of the private sectors that came to us is that was called the jewelry shops. Jewelry shops are very, very interested in the heat map of the shop, but they don't know how to do it. And they go to each vendor sells them their own thing, but he says, I'm not confident with this vendor. I'm not confident. I need somebody to regulate this one. And this is where we are coming. Of course, remote areas, we have a lot of remote areas. We have Hatta, we have some desert areas. So remote areas is very important. The only thing that challenges we have there is communication and maintenance. They lack communication and maintenance. For safe city, when an incident happens, the policemen don't understand the technical challenges as we do. For instance, there was a fire in one of my friend's house, and it was in the basement. Actually, he had a basement, and 3 cars went out, and the cause of the fire wasn't detected. The fire expert said, why you didn't install the camera there? I said, okay, the incident happened. You have to investigate. No, if you'd installed the camera there, we would have solved the issue. This is not the issue. The issue is that there was a fire and finish it off. And he got delayed of the report for insurance sake because that person wants the solution, something in the past. That's the mentality of policemen. They want things to be solved for them. That's the mentality of any human. He doesn't want to get out of his comfort zone, actually. People are lazy. Let's be honest. We are lazy. We are lazy. We are hectic, and we want to do everything to be put on our platter. So, remote areas, we have a lot of issues there. Is that the connectivity of it, the maintenance of it, the cameras that being installed in remote areas has to be a special specification because of the sand we have here and the heat. So that's one of the things. Second thing is communication. I mentioned the communication. I think I have it. No, not this one. Sorry. In the communication, there is a difference in the budget that comes in. A policeman will say, I need always a transmission. I want the camera to see it live. I said, how many times in a year you see it live? He said, once a year. So why during all the year I pay for the live transmission? That's my main question, always goes to them. No, I need transmission. I need transmission. I want to see. I said, yeah, you want to see, but you don't want to see it all the time and you transmit. That's a cost there. So whoever asks, and that's the business cases that we are talking about, because this morning I had a meeting regarding this, is that there is a security agency is asking, I won't say Mission Impossible requirement, I will say Captain America requirement. Okay, I told them, guys, that's in movies. It's not actual live. We cannot do it. Are you willing to pay for something that maybe within 5 years will happen? And they were reluctant somehow, but I told them the cost. And of course, we are sitting here because of money. Everybody knows the saying, money talks. So I'm an officer. Okay, I would like to do, but I'm a technical, more technical wise than crime wise. So a lot of times officers think that whatever they see in the movies are actual, especially with facial recognition. The things that are coming out of facial recognition is unbelievable. And the way that they do, no, you can do it by mask, you can take the mask off, you can do the program, and some companies use that one. So what do you require? You require somebody to say that is possible, what that's not possible, let's do it. Because if you go the other way and people asking that they don't know what they are asking for, we're going to spend a lot of money that is not necessary to spend. So regulations, sensors, cameras, ANPR, all types of sensors, IoTs has to be regulated because we don't want junk. Because if you're going to get junk sensors, you're going to get junk information. If you're going to get junk information, you know the rest of the thing. Privacy. There will be like a standard or a policy for privacy of individuals, but it's not going to be like other laws that even the security officers cannot use the information. You know who I mean. Okay, one of the continents that we are having issues there now. Okay, they put a law there. It was a privacy driven, but even the security officer cannot use that information. Then why you invest in putting a security system? You're just seeing a blurred image of a person that is walking. Useless. So that will be taken. There must be some kind of trust between the security agencies and the people. Thank God we have it here. And some other places, there's a lot of people who talk. Security, information security. One of the biggest issues with security is that we have to use wireless technology, LTE, 5G, LoRa, and there's a big risk in that one in security. I can have a private network here, but it will cost me a lot. So I have to go wireless. So that's a different level of security. Second is that user policies and what we call information sharing policies. Because as I said, it's not a safe city anymore, it's a smart city. So information sharing policies is very important, and there must be someone who handles that one. Infrastructure sharing, I know there is a lot of IT people here will not like what I say, is that a lot of IT, the problem we have here is that a lot of IT people are very conservative on their structure and data. And this goes back to the government, is that when you go to them, I'm suffering this for daily. I go to a person, I want to connect to you to make the investor or licensing scheme easier for the investor. They said, yeah, okay, I must have a two-way communication, correct? So when I talk, even if I talk as a person to you, I must have a two-way communication to understand. Most of the IT people here, they don't want to take the responsibility. They don't want to take the risk. So you say, no, 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 no. I'll give you a dump and you deal with it. Imagine I'm talking, and there's no Q&A. Or I'm talking to someone, I'm saying to you, but don't answer me back. It doesn't work like that. Communication is a two-way communication. If you have challenges of security, there is a standard security procedures. ISO, you have it. There is a lot of standard security procedures you can put. But if you are not knowledgeable about that one, that's a big question mark that that person stays there or not. As I mentioned, communication. I went ahead of the slide. Over expectation of the system, as I mentioned, a lot of people see movies, and a lot of salesmen use those movies to sell. Okay, so this happened. Actually, this happened an incident with one of the biggest real estate developers in Dubai. He asked me, he said, Arif, you're always asking, Sira's always asking for a change. I said, we don't change. We haven't changed since 2019. But the problem is, it's the problems with your project managers. A project manager, and maybe 90% of the people here, is that they are concentrating on one thing, their end of the year bonus. They don't care about anything else. They don't care if the country a nuclear bomb falls on. They care about their bonus only. So what happens? The project manager does that and does whatever it takes to get what we call a completion certificate. Then he throws all the project as security on the facility management. And I told that CEO of that big development thing, I said, don't give the bonus to the project manager unless after 2 years. So what happens, because you go through the cycle of 1 year, then you have the second cycle of contracts and you get the problems there. In our business, it's not what you deliver that shows, it's what happens after 1 year, it shows. It's like a settling down. So he did it. And now this developer doesn't have any issues because the project managers are taking a good care that they do everything right. Because if they didn't do it, the year after, he will not get his bonus. So what happened here is that I wish that everybody gets their bonus, but do your work well. It's not that I do something and give it and forget it. It's all about partnership. Safe city and smart city is about partnership. It's not about deliver and forget. That's the worst mentality that we find in a lot of integrators and a lot of people there. We take them, actually what's happening there is that His Excellency Hamid Al-Mansouri, the director of Dubai Digital Authority, he says, I don't want grocery shop delivery, I want partnership. He said, I don't want any more deliver and forget, I need partnership. If the project goes up, that partner will go up with us. But if the project goes down, he goes down with us. So what will happen there is that from a human perspective, he will put more effort there to try to make that project successful. That's the way of a big city, safe city, or even smart city initiative will go up. Because if there's no partnership, deliver and forget it. You are not a construction. Most of you guys are solution providers, and a solution lives. It's like a living being. It has to be developed, it has to be raised well, it has to be directed well. How to achieve it? I've already said that. You need a project lead in a company, in a city, that it's an authority. They know what they are doing. They are using the right people. Stakeholders, government, semi-government, and private, all of them must benefit from any initiative, Safe City or that. I'm not talking about putting a guard. No, I'm talking about information coming to them. Like one of the petrol stations asked us for MPR information, and I gave it to them. I said, they paid for it, they must have it. Now they connected it to their VIP system, which have a VIP car plate, and they know this VIP, through the VIP loyalty program, they know this guy likes cappuccino, right? So once he comes in, the billboards all showing cappuccino. And indirectly, he goes in and buys a cappuccino. He has more sale there. So that's one of the examples that is actually going on now. Utilization of government infrastructure, I've mentioned that one. Cost of communication. That is the biggest hurdle that we have in any country. All the safe city initiatives are the biggest cost is communication, as I mentioned before. Communication, communication, communication. It's all about communication. But it depends on the people who are asking for what they want. As I said, a policeman wants transmission. That's what he understands. So that's what he sees in movies. But us as a technical people, no, we have other ways of means of doing it, which is edge technology. If we're going to send metadata, I don't have to pay a lot for communication. And if we do it video by request, I don't have to pay a lot of communication. Yeah, but there, with edge technology, you have a lot of other challenges. Management, centralized updation, and asset management. All of that has to be done if we're going to go to edge. So if we're going to edge policy, you have to have some kind of policies that maintain that one, business modules and business flow. Otherwise, equipment will be installed on sites. You don't know about them. There's a security risk, and there is some maintenance risk there. Standardization of sensors, security, analytics, edge computing. I will not talk about any of these, but I will talk about analytics. Analytics now, we have, there isn't any kind of test, benchmark of test. There is some institutes that do the benchmark of test, but some of the analytical companies got the know-how how to outpass it. For instance, for short, they know how to cheat. For instance, facial recognition, you get a list of the images there, and you do the analytics, and you teach your engine. Then the same list is being tested. So what you did, it's like, I don't know what I call it, but they can do it, and we've seen that. So if we do an analytical KPI, if we standardize it, we certify it, and we put a KPI for it on a platform. So a safe city platform will measure the analytic performance. There is a categorization of analytics. We haven't seen it yet, but there must be categorization of analytics. How is it being done? We are working on it right now here, and we'll categorize it. We have very basic analytics, and we have very advanced analytics. It reminds me of when first IP systems came in, they said, we have a very smart feature. I said, what's that feature is? I said, motion detection. As a technical person, motion detection is nothing. It's very basic. It's not smart at all. Now kids at universities are doing it over Arduino, which is a very small microcontroller, as you know. It's possible to be done. But if somebody comes in, they said, I would do facial recognition on a camera that is 720p on a certain height and farther away, and he was able to do it, that's smart. But you cannot find it because, you know, there's laws of physics that you cannot outpass. So that's when you standardize all of these systems, you know who's sorry to say that, bullshitting, and who's truly able to do it. That's very important. So you can certify it. Once you certify it, this person can market it in the market. We put policies of sale. So anybody in the market, like I'm talking about Emirate of Dubai, you can go to him, I am certified. This is my accuracy rate, this is my KPI. Of course, when this system is connected to a centralized system, there is a benchmark that you are working on. There's a KPI that your accuracy you are working on. If it goes away, you'll held eligible, because us as a government, our duty to protect the investors at the same time. Not sell and forget, not a grocery, not a contractor. Build a wall and that's it and forget it. Even now, walls need maintenance with our humidity. So standardization is very important. Of course, regulations, we are good, CIRA is very good at regulations, and it's changeable. It's not what other people say in the market. Accreditation body under the government, of course, this is the certification, okay, and the proper use of analytics. One of the biggest things is that one thing does everything. For instance, one of the visions that was for Ayun is that we need one camera on an interchange that does facial recognition, ANPR, vehicle identification, vehicle type identification, behavior analysis, traffic violation, and all of that with one camera. So somebody in the old team believed that possible to be happened, and that the company was selling a 10 megapixel camera only. So I said, no, it's not possible. So one of the movies that we saw, it was doing that, but as you know, it doesn't do. So the proper use of analytics, the proper expectation of analytics is very important. Okay, so, one of the regulations that I proposed is that in case a person sells something with over expectation, he has to be held criminally charged. Yeah, because salesmen are salesmen. So one of the regulations that I proposed last week, it was that if a person sells something which is an over expected and it doesn't work, he has to be criminally in charge, because this is related to safe city. So if a person comes in, or a salesman comes in and says, well, my camera does this, and it didn't do, and a crime happens, he must be partially responsible for that crime. So what will happen here? People will be more responsible, not for sell and forget. So what do you need to be able to do a safe city? Is that you need legislation, technical requirement, licensing, and administration. That's very important that they all work together. I put CIRA in the middle, but now it's Digital Dubai. But that's the way the decision has to be taken. If you're going to legislate something, especially technical, you must be ready with a technical requirement that is feasible. Not like you say, a technical requirement that doesn't work. Like asking for something, for instance, I can easily put a legislation, everybody has to use a facial recognition. What will happen in the market? Facial recognition companies will be happy, but the client will not be happy. It's not practical. So then after that, we have to license and administration. Administration, part of it is standardization and type approval. So all of these has to work together. And sometimes we have to compromise in three to be able to achieve our target. You cannot put a legislation and you don't have the technical requirement ready, or the technical requirements is out of board. You cannot. For instance, there's one of the neighboring countries, they legislated that they must have 5 megapixel cameras everywhere. It doesn't work. We know that it doesn't work. One of the, even one of the legislating bodies asked for 6 months recording. when there wasn't dedicated CCTV storage systems available in the market. So you know what happened there. You have disk failures, you have a lot of failures, you have a lot of network requirements, and they had a lot of, so they went back on their decision and they put some sectors that does that. So technicality must be available to be able to legislate it, to be able to ask for it. Otherwise, it will not work. People will complain. And the biggest risk here is that when you legislate something which is an overboard, people will complain. Some government listen, and our government listens. That's the difference. Then they come to us. You legislated something that is causing the investor, which is not practical. Explain it to us. Especially the what we call the legislator in Dubai. So they ask a question, is why did you legislate something that is not feasible? And we're getting a lot of complaints. So we go to case by case and you have to explain it. And a lot of times they say, no, you have to reduce. As you know now, the initiative of the government, they did a reduction of 30% of the procedures and technical requirements. There's an initiative by the Executive Council, is that they reduced all of that. When they come to us, we were in shock. I'm a policeman who don't want to reduce any of the technical requirements. But at the same time, I'm a licensing and administration. So I have to bring it down. I'm a legislator. I'm a technical person. At the same time, I'm a policeman. Each requirement has a history behind it. So we got a very big dilemma. And we sat with the CEO, and CEO said, you have to reduce it by 30%. So we found a way to achieve, by technology, the reduction of 30%, which influences what we need. Any legislation, technical requirement, or licensing and administration decision we take, we know that it has what's called a rippling effect. But in the end, who will pay for it? The investor. So now, the main interest is the investor. So that's how we work. Thank you. That's my email. If there's any questions later on after the Q&A, please feel free to ask me. Any questions you have about CIRA, any information you would like to have, or anything you hear that you want to be sure that it's from us, please send an email on that one.
Well, a quick round of applause. I mean, Engineer Arif, my brain is exploding. That was such a rich presentation, and also a very candid one. If I were giving you some career advice, please don't become a politician. We will take questions from the global audience and in this room. I'd even say if anyone has one now, do you want to poke your hand up? I'm happy to kick this off. Oh, good. Please, do we have a microphone over here? While that's coming, can I ask you a quickie of my own? Standardization, and I'm interested in you talked about the certifications around video analytics. And by the way, build some more jails, because the video industry, if you start the criminal charges seriously, will start filling up with people in the video industry pretty soon. How does standardization apply to that communications between devices, I would say? Can you address that more? What are the standards you see emerging to help you do your job better?
That's the easiest part of it. Okay. First of all, you have the standard security procedure, because data is data. Okay. Then you have the procedural installation of equipment. Then the third, the user policies. So all of these three have to work. Fourth layer that we have to be ready of is that the people who work on the field has to be somehow certified. You must know who are they. So if you standardize all of this and regulate it, you will have a seamless operation of implementation of any system or communication. I'm not talking this based on theory. I'm talking about this practicality, because we have a project which we have about 5,000 sites on it, that we followed a certain policy and it worked.
Well, is ONVIF relevant here in terms of intercommunication?
Of course, there should be. There must be some international standardization body there. We have ONVIF, which is, all the profiles are good, but the manufacturers are following ONVIF, most of them. Some manufacturers are out of ONVIF, but still we give them the ONVIF requirement and they have to do it for our market. So we didn't close the door on them.
Thank you. To the audience, if you could identify yourself before you make the question so we know who you are.
Adil Abdul Hadi, I'm the Deputy Chairman of the SPA, Security Professional Association here in Dubai. A smart city will cost a lot of money. Safe cities will cost a lot of money, and of course the maintenance afterwards. And it's going to be technology based. My question is, who's going to be responsible for the security system? Is it the IT manager or the security manager? Because at the end of the day, if the security manager can be an IT manager, he's going to get paid more money and he will be an IT manager. IT managers don't want to be security managers, and they look after capacity of their servers, and and of course we use a lot of graphics in security, and that fills up the servers. So in the future, who's going to be responsible for security?
The responsible person to enroll the security system is the IT manager based on the requirement of the security manager. So the security manager will have some requirements based on the law or the location, based on the risk assessment, and the IT manager has to provide that. I emphasize on one more thing, is that the IT professionals, they must have some kind of knowledge and training on security systems, especially that they look at it as data. So what's the difference between video, which is converted to data, and a normal data? That's the thing that IT professionals don't realize. A normal data, it goes in as a packet and goes and comes back amended and fixed. If there's a, like we say, a corrupted packet, it's identified and comes back. But video, when there's a corruption, you can see it. You can see it in a dropped frame. You can see it in latency. So that's the information that we have to reach to IT professionals. Separation of IT and security is out of question now, because we already combined it when we went to the IP technology. So we cannot separate them. But what we can do is that we educate the IT professionals that are working on security system. That's the only way to do it.
You know,
Can be the education the other way around.
Can I stop just a sec? Because I know there'll be a dialogue, because the time is running a bit. I don't want us to lose you, Engineer Arif, and I hope we can keep you here as well, because we're going to kind of beam out globally on a Zoom and kind of beam in a sec. I would say for now that this presentation, it's just going to cause lots of questions and discussion. My last comment before we thank you for the addresses, I now realize that this is the first for a conference that Secure Middle East has done. Given your comment at the beginning that life in Syria is 5 years for every year of normal life, you are the first 200-year speaker that we've ever had here. So thank you very much, and a round of applause.
That's a good calculation.